A tiny red kitten cried loudly, alone in the middle of a busy city street. Its owner had left it behind when going to work. Many people passed by, unaware of the kitten's sadness. The kitten followed people, hoping for attention, but no one noticed. Losing hope, the kitten sat in the grass trying to stay warm. Oh, how cute! Suddenly, a gentle voice was heard from somewhere overhead. The kitten couldn't believe his luck. Had someone really decided to pick him up from the street? He immediately began to purr loudly and rubbed his muzzle against the kind girl's hand. And she laughed. Look at what a suck-up he is. He knows how to approach a girl. Well, friend, will you come and live with me? The kitten began to purr again and squinted contentedly. The girl laughed and, hugging the baby, went home. Julia was a young girl who had no one to count on but herself. From an early age, she ended up in an orphanage, after which she managed to go to college. At first, she had to live in a hostel, where it was fun, but hardly felt like home. 2 years later, the state allocated her a one-room apartment. Julia did her best to make her new home cozy, and she succeeded. Soon, a guy appeared, also from the orphanage. Perhaps this brought the young people closer at first. However, as it turned out later, Carter did not share his girlfriend's desire to achieve something in life. "You need to live here and now," he often said, justifying his riotous lifestyle. The more Julia tried to fight for her boyfriend's life, the worse it became. And in the end, what the girl feared most happened. Carter was sent to prison. Now she didn't recognize him at all. Instead of a cheerful, handsome guy, a wizened young man looked at her, in whose eyes only one desire was visible: to get the next dose, ready to step over anyone for it. Realizing the futility of her attempts to bring Carter back to life, Julia made a difficult decision for herself and drove him away. The guy left without resisting. He was no longer interested in a life together. Now Julia has been living alone for 6 months. She has already begun to get used to a calm, measured life without scandals and fights. And now she has a new friend, this tiny red kitten who needed her help and care. Introducing the cat to his new home, the girl began to tidy him up. She washed his eyes, got rid of fleas and other parasites, and even bought a separate bowl just for him. And Whiskers turned into a real house cat. The playfulness of a young kitten gradually gave way to the dignity and regularity of an adult cat. Now he was a big, beautiful red cat with a contented face. But one thing that hadn't changed in this animal was his devotion and gratitude to the one who had once picked him up from the street. And Julia, in addition to studying, also started working, so she had very little free time. The girl left early in the morning and returned in the evening. Whiskers sat on the window for a long time, peering at the people passing below, waiting for his mistress. And when the weekend came, Julia tried to sleep in while cuddling with her furry friend. The cat, as if sensing this, tried not to disturb its owner, purring contentedly at her side. But this Saturday didn't go according to plan. It wasn't even 8 in the morning when the doorbell suddenly started ringing, and then someone began knocking hard. The girl jumped in surprise, not understanding what had happened. Whiskers, also startled, jumped onto the cabinet and watched everything from there. Julia went to the door and immediately opened it without asking who was there. And this was her fatal mistake. Someone stronger immediately pushed her inside the apartment and slammed the door behind him. "Carter!" The girl gasped in surprise. She hadn't seen her ex in over a year. His face had changed greatly. Not a trace remained of that smiling, kind young man whom she had once loved. "What, didn't you expect this?" Baring his blackened teeth, he smiled. Carter grabbed the girl by the throat and forced her against the wall. Julia couldn't even scream. His hand tightly squeezed her throat. "It's time to pay for everything, my love," he hissed angrily, leaning over her as if to kiss her. "Or do you think that all this time I lived with you, I was just working for you? I did repairs for you and kept things in order." He threw the girl to the floor. "I have no money." Still sitting on the floor, she tried to explain to her ex what he already knew. But he, growing even angrier, grabbed her by the hair and lifted her from the floor. "How do you not have it? What if I find it? Give me your phone and your laptop too. And if you try to call the police, I'll make sure you regret it." Pushing Yulia onto the bed, he shamelessly began to rummage through her closets, putting everything he liked into a bag. Unable to bear it, the girl rushed at him with her fists. "Get out! This isn't yours. I earned this." Realizing that without her computer and phone she wouldn't be able to continue studying or working, she said, "Oh, you scoundrel! Are you still fighting? I brought this on myself." The scoundrel, having thrown the girl to the floor, swung his fist to hit her in the face with all his might. But then a deafening scream suddenly came from behind him. The guy, not understanding what was happening, turned around sharply, and then Whiskers jumped straight into his face from the closet. The cat grabbed the scoundrel's face with all his might, causing him to howl in pain. Carter jumped up, grabbed the cat with both hands, and tore it away from him. His entire face was covered in blood, and his eyes were almost blinded. Enraged, the guy tried to kick Whiskers, but he looked more like a wild animal than a pet cat. All over his fur bristled, and he became a ball of fire, his eyes glowing with animal fury. With a wild cry, the cat attacked his opponent again, grabbing his leg and biting through the muscle. Carter screamed in pain again, trying to free himself from this madness, but Whiskers didn't calm down. Yulia, who hadn't expected such a reaction from her cat, curled up into a ball, waiting to see how this battle would end. To his shame, the guy decided to run away from this defender. Grabbing the bag with the loot, he rushed to the door to quickly get away from here. But then, a police patrol, called by the neighbors, arrived. They laughed for a long time at the would-be robber at the police station. Of course, not every house cat will make a thief run for his life. But Yulia wasn't laughing at all. She realized that there was now a creature beside her, ready to give all his 9 lives for her, and this thought warmed her heart and brought tears to her eyes. Dear viewers, if you like this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you're new here and haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing now so you never miss another exciting story.